So now let's jump over to something that I feel is only happening as a result of the waning relevance of the superhero movie, and that is Gladiators are back. This article from The Hollywood Reporter. Gladiators are back. Hollywood readies 3 rival projects. A trio of sword and sandal titles, including the long-awaited sequel to Ridley Scott's Gladiator, are prepping to enter the pop culture arena. Now, granted, this article is a bit older. It came out March 22nd. But I still wanted to talk about this because I have been one of those people that have been waiting a long time for the sequel to Ridley Scott's Gladiator. It's a movie that honestly I watch it at least once a year. Here we go. Do you like movies about gladiators? Hollywood is betting you do. There are a trio of sword and sandal epics in the works, including a long-awaited sequel to Ridley Scott's Oscar-winning 2000 movie Gladiator and a reboot of Starz' groundbreaking TV series Spartacus. The curious surge of ancient Rome titles in the pipeline seems to be purely coincidental. If you look at other things that happen, especially back in the 90s, this was actually very, very popular, right? Is you would have a movie like Volcano come out, and then Dante's Peak would come out like 6 to 9 months later. Both movies would be not virtually the same, but have a lot of similarities between the two. Same with the movie like Armageddon and Deep Impact, right? Similar subject matter, but two movies that were different in their own right. So again, I don't think it's purely coincidental that, I think what happened is one of these studios, maybe it was Starz, announced that they were rebooting Spartacus, and then everyone else wanted to jump in on it to try to beat them to the punch. But anyway, the curious surge of ancient Rome titles in the pipeline seems to be purely coincidental, but it also makes sense given that studios have been searching for the next genre title that might break out, particularly since the end of HBO's Game of Thrones. Excuse me. And given the revival of another muscular old-time Hollywood genre, the Western, following the explosive popularity of Yellowstone, each project has roots in a different take on the material, and 2 of the projects had major casting news within the past week. The gladiator genre actually has cinema roots dating all the way back to the 1913 silent film The Last Days of Pompeii. The films hit their popularity zenith in the early 1960s when, in the wake of the 1959 blockbuster Ben-Hur and Stanley Kubrick's 1960 film Spartacus, nearly 40 films featuring gladiators were released between 1961 and 1964. According to IMDb, the movies were mostly low-budget efforts, and many were produced in Italy and dubbed for American audiences, just like the better-known spaghetti western genre. Yes, I believe a lot of guys actually made their debut over in Italy. I know the Ursus movies were quite popular in the States. I believe it was American International Pictures that brought a lot of those movies over to the States. But anyway, here are the 3 upcoming projects that likewise have a quote-unquote dream that was Rome. Obviously, the first one is the untitled Gladiator sequel from Paramount. What's it about? A follow-up to Ridley Scott's hit film that chronicled Maximus Decimus Meridius. I almost forgot how to pronounce his name. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, a father, a son, a former soldier, and I will have my vengeance. I know I butchered the hell out of that line, but still. A former general who was forced into being a common gladiator under the rule of Commodus, played by Joaquin Phoenix, a patricidal self-appointed emperor of Rome. Reports have suggested the film follows Lucius, the son of Connie Nielsen's character Lucilla, and the nephew of Commodus, who's making it. Ridley Scott will direct the Paramount film and has been developing the film for many years, trying to figure out how to crack a sequel to his film, which, spoiler to follow, killed off its 2 leads. David Scarpa, The Day the Earth Stood Still, is penning the script. I remember the earliest iteration of Gladiator 2 that I read about was back in the early 2000s, where they were gonna bring back Russell Crowe, and it was gonna follow him in the afterlife. I have been reading that idea has since been dead, but I think that would have made a very interesting movie. It was gonna it was going to follow him into the afterlife, and that he would have had to kill like a Christian god. He would have betrayed the Roman gods, and as a result of his betrayal, he would have been cursed to immortality, forcing, having to be forced to fight in every major conflict that humanity would ever face. Again, on paper, it's a good idea. I don't know if it would have worked on screen, but on paper, it sounds very interesting. But anyway, getting back to this Hollywood Reporter article, under the untitled Gladiator sequel, like, who's in it? The film's starring role has gone to Irish actor Paul Mescal from After Sun. Banshees of Inisherin breakout Barry Keoghan has also been cast. Denzel Washington is in talks to re-team with his American Gangster director, and it does have a release date of November 22nd, 2024. The second title is Those About to Die, that's going to Peacock. What's it about? The project is based on Daniel Mannix's nonfiction book, which researched the reality of gladiatorial combat. Those About to Die is described as a quote-unquote epic drama set in the complex and corrupt world of ancient Rome's spectacle-driven gladiatorial competition. Who's making it? Roland Emmerich, the guy who did Independence Day. I believe he also did 1998's Godzilla. The Day After Tomorrow, that was with Jake Gyllenhaal. 2012, the one with John Cusack that came out in 2009. I'm trying. Oh, and Stargate from '94 with Kurt Russell and James Spader. Good movie, really underrated. But anyway, Roland Emmerich is directing the project along with Marco Cruz Panther, the director of Beat. Robert Rodat, Saving Private Ryan, is writing the script. Impressively, the project is shooting at Rome's historic Cinecittà Studios, where several iconic ancient Rome epics were shot, such as 1959's Ben-Hur, 1963's Cleopatra, and 2004's The Passion of the Christ. Who's in it? Oscar winner Anthony Hopkins has been cast as the Emperor of Rome, and Game of Thrones actor Iwan Rion, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly, has been cast as a crime boss. Also cast Johannes Hakker, I think it's actually pronounced Johannes Hakker Johannesson from Vikings, Alicia Endogam from Summertime, Laraj Sharif from Tehran, Britain's Rupert Penry Jones from MI5, elite actor Eniko Sagardoy, I think it's pronounced Gonçalo Almeida from Amor Amor, Keyshawn Wilson from Viola, and Pepe Barroso from Neil Blomkamp's upcoming Gran Turismo. Also announced Tom Hughes, Sarah Martins, Jojo Marcari, Gabrielle Pisson, Dimitri Leonidas, and Mo Hashim. The release date is currently in production with no release date, but 2024 seems likely. And finally, you have the Spartacus reboot coming from Starz. What is it about? It's a follow-up to the ultra graphic 2010 Starz hit series, which pioneered the use of all CG backgrounds in television. Spartacus retold the classic story of the Thracian gladiator who led a slave rebellion in a 300-like visual style. The new version is set in the aftermath of the defeat of Spartacus and promises to explore uncharted territory and new journeys of the original series' iconic characters, with a tale of treachery, deceit, and blood unfolding beneath the foreboding shadow of Rome. So it's not a reboot; it's actually a continuation. I would really have preferred if they didn't say that it was a reboot, because from what it sounds like, just basically in the what it's about, it looks like it's going to pick up right where War of the Damned left off. Who's making it? Currently, the project is in early stages, and original series creator Stephen S. DeKnight is back on board as showrunner. No casting or release date yet. This should bring you up to date with the current Gladiator project landscape in Hollywood right now. Are you not entertained? Oh, that's a great way to end the article. But still, I think you're seeing the resurgence in Gladiator movies simply as a result of the waning popularity of the superhero. Because if you honestly think about it, it is a metric ton cheaper to make a sword and sandal movie about gladiators than it is to make a superhero movie that's going to cost a minimum of tens of millions of dollars just to put in all of the visual effects, right? The average Marvel movie now costs like, what, $200 to $250 million in just the production budget. Then you add the marketing on top of that. Every Marvel movie has to make $1 billion just to break even. You don't need that much money making a movie about gladiators. That is unless if you have a budget of $100 million or more, and then you kind of defeat the purpose of making a sword and sandal movie, right? A sword and sandal movie shouldn't require that much in the way of visual effects by comparison, but depending on if these actors want to make a salary of $20 million, well then just simply don't cast that particular actor that wants to be paid like $20 million a movie, because you could probably make an entire sword and sandal movie on $20 million alone. But still, as I said, I know I sound like a broken record, the waning popularity of superhero movies is leading to the studios exploring other genres, because quite simply, what other choice do they have? If your movie has to make $1 billion just to break even, then your business model is not solvent to begin with. So why not explore cheaper genres like making, like going back to sword and sandal movies and also westerns?